I have a special guest with me tonight. He's been here before. Everyone, please give a huge welcome to Ron Pacone.
What's
Hi,
up,
Ron.
Sabby? Hey, how are you? Can you hear my fan, or is it like not coming through? Can you
I
hear
don't
it?
hear a fan.
You don't hear? Okay, cool. I have it on the lowest setting. We are I don't want to say it's like a heat wave. I mean, some parts of Southern California it is, but it's a little warmer than usual. So I try to keep my fan on low when I'm doing this stuff, and I'm hoping it's not bleeding through. I'm sure it's probably hotter where you're at, Massachusetts, but
We finally got over the heat wave. Finally broke. Yeah. So it's, still a little warm, but nothing like how it was like the past week, or actually the past 2 weeks. It was brutal.
Really? What did it cross?
We got almost into the hundreds.
Yikes. Yeah. Well, I was up in the Northwest where they have a heat wave there every year now. It's almost like something's going on with the climate or something. But like they had a crazy heat wave when I was up there. And they still, those types of places, they're not really meant to deal with it. I mean, more
No.
people have AC now than they did some years ago because now they're used to a heat wave every year, but it's still not. I mean, man, I was sweating pretty fierce at our Vancouver show, and there was just nothing anyone could do about it. But anyway, good to be here. Glad the fan is not audible.
Awesome. So I want to talk to you about this story involving Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. So I sent you the link for this. Hillary Clinton, for those who are not aware, is writing a new book, or has a new book coming out. And she apparently has been telling people that there are some things in this book that she's saying about Bernie Sanders, about him not being nice to women.
So was
She
it?
quit.
Can I have a question? I thought it was. Is it her book?
It says her in new book. Oh, new book. So it may not be her book per se, but it's a new book.
Okay.
Let's go to that article because I want to show everyone what this is about, where this is coming from. So this came out. Hillary Clinton calls Bernie Sanders sexist in new book. I know the kind of things he says about women. Now that's a quote coming from Hillary Clinton. Okay, here we go. Hillary Clinton has ripped her 2016 Democratic primary rival, Socialist Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, as a male chauvinist in a new book, hinting darkly that I know the kind of things that he says about women, and to women, apparently, she's saying here as well. So it goes on to say the former Secretary of State's intuition is including that the forthcoming book, Electable, by NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitali, which focuses
so
on
that's whose book it is. It's this NBC person, Ali Vitali.
Yeah. So it focuses on the 2020 presidential campaign and the preponderance of female candidates who sought the Democratic presidential nomination that year. One of the subplots of the book, which was excerpted by Politico Friday, is the running drama between Sanders and his fellow left-winger Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, which climaxed in a hot mic moment during a January 2020 debate in Iowa. And so I'll show a clip of that in just a second. But back to this part here, in reference to what Hillary Clinton has said. Clinton, who was watching the altercation unfold, told Vitali, I believed her because I know Sanders and I know the kind of things that he says about women and to women. So I thought that she was telling an accurate version of the conversation they'd had. So Ron, I want to get your opinion on this before I show everybody that cringe moment from the debates.
Why don't you show everybody the moment first? I need to mute my microphone and go scream into a pillow for 20 minutes, but I'll be right back. No, I mean, look, Hillary Clinton, she constantly, she is literally just a troll. Like that's what she is. And she will occasionally crawl out from under the bridge to grasp at any straw of relevancy she can grab. And usually it's this stuff. Usually it's rehashing stuff with Bernie Sanders because she hates Bernie Sanders, despite the fact that Bernie Sanders did more events for her than she did for herself in 2016. He did way more events for her than she did for Barack Obama. More Sanders supporters voted for her than Hillary supporters voted for Barack Obama. Let's keep in mind, when she lost to Barack Obama, she didn't do anything for him pretty much, and then insinuated he was going to get shot. That was Hillary losing gracefully in a primary. Meanwhile, Bernie Sanders got cheated and did, I think, about 39 events for her, went to states she didn't even bother going. And of course, she still managed to lose, but he did more for her than she did for herself. Bernie Sanders didn't even want to run in 2016. He tried to talk Liz Warren into running, because he thinks a woman can't win. He wanted Liz Warren to run. She wouldn't run. So he ran because nobody else would. I mean, none of that adds up. I mean, and Bernie Sanders, I mean, he's been on the right side of all social issues. I mean, it's just grasping for straws, and it's so annoying when this comes back, and it keeps coming back. They keep recycling this old stuff again, because look, Hillary Clinton wrote a book that failed miserably. Hillary Clinton did a speaking tour that failed miserably. Hillary Clinton has had multiple series on multiple networks. I think Hulu, and I think she had something on Netflix too, right? It all failed miserably. Hillary Clinton did a podcast. It failed miserably. Hillary Clinton's probably going to do a scripted series that will fail miserably. Hillary Clinton's going to start a TikTok account. It's going to fail miserably. Hillary Clinton will contaminate every medium and fail miserably at all of them. So she'll be like, Bernie's a bad guy, to get some attention. And sometimes I feel like, what if we just ignore her? Will she somehow go away? But the problem, Sabby, is she has such a big freaking megaphone that we can't ignore this stuff. We have to fight back, and we have to stand up to this stuff, because there's people in this country who don't support something like universal health care, not because they think it's a bad idea, but because they think Bernie's a sexist. So we have to combat this stuff. We don't have a freaking choice. But wow, am I tired of hearing this fucking record?
So she goes on to say, I wish she had done it on mic. I wish she had pushed back in front of everybody. I think it weakened her response that it was after the cameras were supposedly off, and they were just standing there. I think it's important that you call it out when it happens, and that was my only regret for her, that I wish she had just turned on him and said, it's one thing to mislead people about your healthcare plan. It's another thing to tell someone to her face that a conversation which happened didn't happen. I mean, that would have been, I think, a really important moment for her. Can you believe this?
Coming from Hillary Clinton, yes, I can. I mean, I've never, just no amount of self-awareness. The person who lost to Donald Trump is giving advice to anyone on how to conduct yourself throughout an election cycle. And by the way, I love how they describe Liz Warren as a leftist, just as an aside that I wanted to point to. Only in the United States would somebody be like, I'm a capitalist to my bones. And someone in the press would unironically be like, what a great leftist.
I know. It's really interesting to me, too, because sometimes they seem to forget, or they pretend to forget, that Elizabeth Warren was a Republican, and they don't mention that. They'll criticize Bernie Sanders more so instead, who was never a Republican. One more thing here that I think is important. It notes here, during both campaigns, Sanders was accused of stoking a subculture of young male supporters dubbed Bernie Bros, who bullied and harassed women who did not support his candidacy. And I hate when I see things like this, Ron, because it pretty much excludes people like me, who was also a heavy supporter of Bernie Sanders. They made it seem like it was just a bunch of young guys that supported Bernie Sanders, and that wasn't true.
Absolutely. And also, this is another situation whenever they do finger pointing like this. And by the way, just as an aside here, there's plenty of valid criticisms about Bernie Sanders. I mean, there's plenty of valid reasons to criticize the guy, but this stuff ain't it. And we know that, this is nonsense. And, they're going to talk about online supporters and stuff like that. Hillary Clinton literally has a troll farm. She literally has a troll. Correct the record. That was her troll farm. That is definitionally what it was. It was her troll farm. Kamala Harris has a paid troll farm. They have actual troll farms. You know what Bernie Sanders had? People who supported his ideas. That's what he has. And there were a lot of them. They were filling up stadiums. And the DNC looked around and they said, we can't have this. We cannot have this. So we need to put a stop to this as quickly as we can.
Basically, yeah. I also said something else in reference to this on Twitter. I was telling people that, like, what does Bill Clinton say about women, Hillary?
She probably doesn't even know half the time.
No, it's hilarious to me. So I do want to play this clip here, just a reminder to show everyone where this all came from. And this was during the 2020 debates with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren here. And this actually was going towards, I think, the end of the debates. In the beginning, obviously, Elizabeth Warren was saying that she backs Bernie and she supports Bernie Sanders. And then as it started to get closer towards the end and her poll numbers started to fall, then she decided to let me throw this in here. So here we go.
Let's now turn to an issue that's come up in the last 48 hours. Senator Sanders. CNN reported yesterday that, and Senator Warren confirmed in a statement, that in 2018, you told her that you did not believe that a woman could win the election. Why did you say that?
Well, as a matter of fact, I didn't say it. And I don't want to waste a whole lot of time on this because this is what Donald Trump and maybe some of the media want. Anybody knows me, knows that it's incomprehensible that I would think that a woman could not be president of the United States. Go to YouTube today. There's some video of me 30 years ago talking about how a woman could become president of the United States. In 2015, I deferred, in fact, to Senator Warren. There was a movement to draft Senator Warren to run for president. And you know what? I stayed back. Senator Warren decided not to run, and I did run afterwards. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by 3 million votes. How could anybody in a million years not believe that a woman could become president of the United States? And let me be very clear. If any of the women on this stage or any of the men on this stage win the nomination, I hope that's not the case. I hope it's me. But if they do, I will do everything in my power to make sure that they are elected in order to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of our country.
So, Senator,
I just want to add something in here, Ron. Did you notice that when the moderator was asking that question, she said, "Why did you say that?"
Yeah.
Instead of saying, like, "Did you say that?"
Yeah. Oh, of course. It was totally leading. I mean, that was the case throughout all of 2020. It was every single person on that stage, pretty much, the media and the entire Democratic establishment versus Bernie Sanders. That's just what it was. They did everything they could. And they all, I mean, Elizabeth Warren bailed out. It was like right around Super Tuesday. So she waited until the damage was done. Then they all just lined up behind Biden. And it was after they had tried to get their flavor of the week to catch on with people. I mean, first it was Kamala. They wanted everyone to get behind Kamala, and she couldn't even gain traction in her state because here in California, we remember shit that she actually did. So she couldn't even gain any traction in her state. Then they tried Warren, didn't work. Then they tried Buttigieg, didn't work. Then they tried Warren again, didn't work. Then they tried Kamala again, didn't work. So they said, okay, screw you guys. You're getting the crime bill guy, and he's going to pick the cop as his running mate. Have fun. We hate you.
Exactly. So she goes on here.
Senator Sanders, I do want to be clear here. You're saying that you never told Senator Warren that a woman could not win the election.
That is correct.
Senator Warren, what did you think when Senator Sanders told you a woman could not win the election?
I disagreed. Bernie is my friend, and I am not here to try to fight with Bernie. But look, this question about whether or not a woman can be president has been raised, and it's time for us to attack it head on. And I think the best way to talk about who can win is by looking at people's winning record. So, can a woman beat Donald Trump? Look at the men on this stage. Collectively, they have lost 10 elections. The only people on this stage who have won every single election that they've been in are the women, Amy and me. only
I think it froze us for a
person
second.
on this stage who has beaten an incumbent Republican anytime in the past 30 years is me. And here's what I know.
So this was another thing I noticed about Elizabeth Warren is that she really tried to play identity politics into this. And I think she thought like, this is the last like go at it I have, like to really try to turn things around in reference to the polls. So now I'm going to throw in this trick and try to say that Bernie Sanders made sexist comments about women.
Yeah, I agree. And if you notice, she deflected away from that question, that specific question about did Bernie say this? She got off of that right away and all of a sudden pivoted to the whole question of whether a woman can be president has been raised and it's time to put that out. Well, that's true, but that's not, you were asked, did Bernie say this? And you really just kind of skated around it and changed the subject. That doesn't strike me as somebody who's telling the truth. I mean, if you were in those shoes, how would you respond? If we had dinner, Sabby, and I made a statement, and I very clearly made it to you, you remember me making it, and it was like Cambridge has the best lobster. And then me and you were up in a debate because we're both running for city council somewhere in Wellfleet. And you know that, oh, my lobster comment could bury my frickin' campaign. And they asked me on the spot, they're like, Ron, did you say that Cambridge has the best lobster? Did you say that to Sabby? She told the press this week that you said that. And I'm saying, I did not say that. Would you immediately pivot away from it when you were asked, or would you say, motherfucker said it? He was sitting at my table. I made pasta for dinner. My husband was there too. We heard him frickin' say it. We didn't record it because we're not creepy pants recording our friends at dinner. But Ron, you were sitting right there. I remember it. You said it. What would you do?
Right. Honestly, I would sound that way, actually. The way you just
I would expect you to. I would want you. You should sound that. Anyone should sound that way because it's the truth.
Yeah. This was a cringe moment for her. Another thing I want to add too, why did she wait like the entire time during like the Democratic primary debates? Why didn't Elizabeth Warren bring this up earlier on? Why did she wait until it got this close towards the end? And now all of a sudden, oh, by the way, we had this conversation one time and Bernie Sanders said this. Because at the very beginning of the primary debates, Elizabeth Warren was saying that she agrees with Bernie. She said that over and over multiple times. And then she tried to throw this in at the last minute.
Well, I think that strategically what she was trying to do there was, she knew that Bernie Sanders' policies were overwhelmingly popular. So she's going to try to latch onto those. And then she's going to try to pivot herself by being like, oh, but he's kind of a sexist and I'm not. So go for all the great policies, but the not sexist, which, is absolute nonsense. But that's what she was trying to do. And at the end of the day, they were all able to just take just enough away that, they shoved Joe Biden down all of our throats. Yay.
Right. Right.
The real danger that we face as Democrats is picking a candidate who can't pull our party together or someone who takes for granted big parts of the Democratic constituency. We need a candidate who will excite all parts of the Democratic Party, bring everyone in, and give everyone a Democrat to believe in. That's my plan, and that is why I'm going to win.
Senator Klobuchar.
Thank you.
Senator Klobuchar, what do you say to
Thank
people
you,
who
Elizabeth.
don't? Senator Klobuchar, what do you say?
Yeah. So again, like she did not answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it goes into Amy. Okay, here's the section here I wanted to play. Yeah, this part here.
Senator Sanders, you can respond.
Well, just to set the record straight, I defeated an incumbent Republican running for Congress,
When?
1990. That's how I won, beat a Republican congressman. Number two, of course, I don't think there's any debate up here.
Wasn't it 30 years ago?
I beat an incumbent Republican congressman.
And I said I was the only one who's beaten an incumbent Republican in 30 years.
Well, 30 years ago was 1990, as a matter of fact. But I don't know that that's the major issue of the day. I think what the major issue of the day is, does anybody in their right mind think that a woman cannot be elected president. That's enough. Nobody believes that. If Hillary Clinton got 3 million votes, more votes than Trump. So who believes that a woman can't win? Of course a woman can win. But the real question is, how do we beat Trump? And the only way we beat Trump is by a campaign of energy and excitement, and a campaign that has by far the largest voter turnout in the history of this country. And I believe that our campaign has the strongest grassroots movement.
Thank
we
you.
have been endorsed by many grassroots
Senator Warren,
organizations.
Senator
That's why
Warren,
we
I
win.
want to give you the final.
So now this is when the moderator comes in and tries to cut him off, basically.
Yeah, I'm gonna accuse him of saying something. He's saying he didn't say it. Like it's like, but Liz Warren, you get the final say. I'm gonna just assume he said it. I mean, come on. Like, I mean, revisiting this stuff is, it still hurts. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel? Like, it still freaking hurts.
It's painful. Like,
it's
watching this again,
painful.
because yeah, like you can see exactly how they were, even during the debates, they were trying to screw over Bernie Sanders. I don't know how some people didn't see this.
It was, I mean, yeah, it was just so obvious. And I mean, I still remember when Bernie dropped out. I still remember, you know, when Biden was the nominee, and just really being like, wow, this is, because look, there's plenty of reasons to criticize Bernie. There's plenty of things he's done that's ticked me off. He's even done a couple things recently that I was not thrilled about. But I mean, I don't know when we'll have another chance at any kind of, you know, transformational type presidency. We might not get another chance in our lifetimes. That's just the reality of it. We've had nothing but Reagan for 40 years.
Yep.
40 years. And I don't see that ending anytime soon. I really don't. I mean, I don't know exactly what they're going to put up in 24, but I'm not excited about any of the prospects. That's for sure. And I think that whoever it is, I mean, there's a good chance Ron DeSantis will be the next president. And that guy is a very special brand of dangerous.
Yep. I mean, this is the direction we're heading in. So she's going to answer, I think, the last question here.
So I do think it's the right question. How do we beat Trump? And here's the thing. Since Donald Trump was elected, women candidates have outperformed men candidates in competitive races. And in 2018, we took back the House, we took back state houses because of women candidates and women voters.
I just want to add in here, this is exactly why the Democrats are losing the American people and losing working class people. Because again, what does this have to do? Why does she have to bring in the whole women part to the conversation? Just say, like, if you guys are winning, just say you were winning. But again, she's trying to make it about identity politics. And this is exactly what the Democratic Party does. It's really frustrating. And I think maybe they do realize this and they just don't say it, Ron, but I feel like they don't understand that this is not what attracts a lot of people to come out and vote for you. Not anymore these days. That's why the majority of people don't even vote.
No kidding, right? I mean, it's like over half the country doesn't freaking vote. And I mean, I know there was that poll that came out that it was featured in a Rage Against the Machine video where they were just like, half the country doesn't vote because they just don't really feel like there's an option on the ballot. And, you know, and so this sort of stuff is really all they have to hang their hat on. And I mean, getting back to this clip specifically, I don't know how you feel, but I felt like she sounded painfully scripted. That this was just a talking point that was handed to her. They cooked this whole thing up to say, oh, say that Bernie said this. I don't believe for a second that it actually happened. I can't say for sure. I wasn't there. But I don't believe for a second it actually happened. They cooked this whole thing up to give her these talking points and to see if she caught, basically. And once again, she didn't catch. You know, I mean, the DNC tried so hard to shove these mediocre, and using the word mediocre as being far too generous, but we'll go with mediocre to be polite. These mediocre candidates, they tried so hard to shove so many of them down our throats. None of them worked. Yep. So they just got everybody in line. I mean, the DNC is just such a repulsive organization. And this is what you get when Wall Street owns both parties. I mean, the Republicans, they don't have to play pretend because it's like they're for the rich and they're for the people with power. They make no qualms about it. So they're just straight up in your face neo-fascists. The Democrats are putting on the facade that they're for the working class. So they need more bridges like super delegates and the DNC and all these other bullshit things. They make up this. I mean, whenever you hear someone try to justify super delegates, it is the most condescending, cringe thing I've ever freaking heard. They basically say to your face, they're just like, well, we ran McGovern and it didn't work so well. So we, the people, our brains are too tiny to pick a decent candidate. So we need these super delegates to help our tiny minds. How freaking warped are you? You bought that bullshit? You bought that absolute bullshit they sold you. And by the way, the super delegates put up someone who lost to a fucking game show host. So even your hogwash theory frickin' sucks.
That's right. So I'm going to finish her out here.
Look, don't deny that the question is there. Back in the 1960s, people asked, could a Catholic win? Back in 2008, people asked if an African American could win. In both times, the Democratic Party stepped up and said yes, got behind their candidate, and we changed America. That's who we are.
So it's frustrating to me, Ron, because I'm just like, Bernie Sanders, he let them do it. He let them do it, and then he went along with the Democratic Party in the end anyway, and he's still going along with the Democratic Party.
Yeah, I mean, even the IRA bill. I mean, look, Bernie was the only one who tried to put some good stuff in there. Okay. But then he voted for it anyway when they refused all of his amendments. He's not willing to buck the party the way someone like a Joe Manchin is. And they know that. They know that. So, it really sucks. I mean, it really sucks. Like we need somebody who's willing to just buck the party the way a Joe Manchin is. And I realize it's an imperfect comparison because, look, Joe Manchin, I mean, people make it out like Joe Manchin's some rogue actor. That's not entirely true because Joe Manchin has actually most of the Democrats and all the Republicans behind all of his ideas. Bernie Sanders doesn't have that. That's just, the way it goes. But still, Bernie Sanders has regular people behind him. Like most people, those are the types of things that they want. Most people would have wanted to see more investment in public infrastructure in that. Well, I shouldn't say more, any investment in public infrastructure in that bill. They would have wanted to see, some of the stuff that he put in there to curb fossil fuels, which failed. And now it's like, 620 million acres that's like up for grabs for the fossil fuel industry in a climate bill. Interesting. I mean, we're at the Orwell stage of, I'm looking forward to the War is Peace bill. Oh wait, we've had those for a lot of years too. But so yeah, I mean, it's a really, really horrible situation when you break it down. And I think the only solution, I mean, the solution doesn't lie in the ballot box. The solution lies, in my opinion, only in a general strike. I mean, I don't see how there's any other way out of this thing. And people say, well, that's really hard to do. Yeah, but what's the alternative? I know that's really hard to do. I don't know how to do it either. I don't know. I can't I get emails from some people. They're just like, I'm going to help you put on this general strike you're trying to organize. I'm like, dude, I'm a freaking dude on I'm a comedian. I don't know how to lead such a thing. I don't think any one person does. I mean, it's going to take a hell of a lot of coordinating between a lot of people and a lot of organizations. But it's not impossible. They pull it off in other countries. Now, in other countries, they don't have all the same hurdles we do all the time. They strike a lot in countries where your health care is not tied to your job. That's not a coincidence. They strike a lot in other countries where most workers aren't a paycheck or two from going under. It's not a coincidence. It's a lot harder here in the United States, and that's by design. but it's not impossible. So, I mean, I think it's just, unless we really just shut it down in a way where the Jeff Bezoses and the Elon Musks of the world really feel it, and they feel it in their pocketbook. Because let's be honest, we all know who's really running it. I mean, the oligarchs really run this place. We know it.
Yep.
So unless they go and they say, hey, this is not okay. We're not happy. You got to do something. Nothing's going to change. I mean, that's how we got the New Deal the first time. We got the New Deal because FDR, I mean, he had enough foresight to realize those people are pissed out there, and I'm not going to be able to control them. So, rich friends, you can either give up a little bit or you can give up everything. Your choice. And they were like, well, we'll just give up a little bit. We need something like that to happen again. The only difference that I want this time, the big difference I want, is instead of putting a Band-Aid on capitalism, I want to pivot away from capitalism entirely and start a society that is just based on human needs and being stewards to the earth. Is there a name for that? Yes, there is. It's called eco-socialism. There's literally a name for it. It's literally on the platform of the Green Party and other lefty parties as well. So I feel like we got a roadmap at least. Got to start somewhere.
I agree. All right, Ron, I have one more question for you because I want to be mindful of your time. But in reference to the Green Party or third party or independent candidate for 2024, how do you feel about that?
Oh, wow.
Put on the spot, Ron.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of like one person or like any entity I would want to see run as far as like who do I think is a real contender. I mean, the thing with any third party candidate is, can they get that 5% tile? That's why, like, in 2020, I mean, I was kind of hoping Jesse Ventura was going to get the nod from the Greens because I thought he had the best chance of getting 5% out of anyone they were thinking about running. And then, I don't know all that went down in that primary or what exactly transpired there administratively, but he did not get the nod, and Howie Hawkins got less than they got in 2016, which was very disappointing. So I will likely vote third party. I mean, I've been voting third party the past two elections. I mean, I voted for Jill Stein and I voted for Howie Hawkins in 2020. But so I'll likely vote for whoever the Green is. Because, I mean, usually it's like the Greens, they have the most ballot access. So mathematically, they're usually the only third party that even has a chance at getting that 5%. Other than libertarians, and I just don't really agree with libertarians, politically. I mean, I'm much more aligned with the Green Party politically. So yeah, I mean, I'll probably vote for the Green. As far as like who's somebody who could get 5%, who's somebody, I mean, I have no clue. And I will say this. As far as, will there be a Democrat who's going to challenge Biden or whoever they shove down our throats should Biden not run? I think the only way something like that would happen is if it was somebody from the outside, somebody like a Marianne Williamson. I don't know if it's going to be her or not. I have no idea. But somebody like that, somebody who's not, not already in, who's not holding office. That's the only way I see any type of challenge to, the Biden stronghold, even if it's not Biden himself. I mean, Biden has said he's not going to seek, he has said at various times he wasn't going to seek re-election. Now it seems like he's changing his tune on that. And he's saying he probably will seek re-election. So yeah, I have no idea as far as 2024 goes, like who might get that nod. I just hope that some third party gets to 5%. And in the meantime, we got to keep fighting to change the way our electoral system works because, it's by design that third parties aren't viable.
That's right.
To make third parties viable, you need things like ranked choice voting. You need to get money out of politics. You need to just kind of change the way the game is played to be able to actually compete with these two Wall Street sponsored parties. That's why, again, I'll tip my hat to the Greens because the Greens are actually pursuing those things in the formal sense. Like they're pursuing ranked choice voting initiatives in various states. So I do applaud them for doing that. That's very important work. That's not to say the Green Party is perfect or beyond criticism. There's certainly things they've done that I've not been in agreement with, just like any other party or organization. But I do appreciate that they that they're really going to the mat for ranked choice voting.
Yeah, Andrew Yang's Forward Party is also tackling that too. Ranked choice
They
voting.
are they?
Yeah, that's like their big.
I'm not a fan,
Don't even get me
but
started on Forward Party because
why not? You brought it up. We've started.
I know because like Andrew Yang, and I saw another interview earlier this morning with him, and they were asking
Was it the
questions
CNN one?
Yes,
That was so bad. I'm sorry. That sounded like he was auditioning to be the next Tom Perez. Like they're just like, what do you stand for? Name something you stand for. And he was like, well, common sense. Like, what?
I know. No,
it's
I
the
talked
party
to
without policies.
He's not explaining it well. And like I talked to Kim Iverson recently.
That's being generous. He's not explaining it well.
I know. Yeah, the best person to talk to about this is Kim Iverson. I'm just telling you hands down because she's on the board. And when she was on, she explained it in so much more detail. And I said, oh, it all makes sense now. So Kim was saying it actually should be called a caucus, not a political party. Because
they're trying to run people?
Well, basically, like they're trying to get all the obstacles out of the way that third parties have in the first place. So like the ranked choice voting, all that stuff. And then maybe someone can run through the Forward Party. So when Andrew Yang says you can run as a Democrat or a Republican, or you can be a Democrat or Republican and be under the Forward Party, that's because it's more like a caucus instead of a political party. See, I'm telling you, like I think that she should be the face for this. I'm sorry, but like she really breaks it down. So she explained to me why there's no policies. Andrew Yang cannot answer that question. I'm watching him do multiple interviews.
He couldn't answer any question. I mean, that was freaking. I mean, first of all, and let's be totally fair here. I really wish we lived in a world where CNN held the same scrutiny level for Democrats and Republicans. I really wish we live in that world, just to be fair here. But I mean, when you make Jim Acosta look like a hard-hitting journalist, holy shit, he was just like, well, abortion, well, again, common sense, guns, how about, you have to take a stand on something. He called it a fill-in-the-blank party, which was fair. So, yeah, I can't say, I don't think you'll see me having anything favorable to say about the Forward Party anytime soon. But who knows? I mean, I support ranked choice voting and stuff like that. So if they do too, that's something that we can all work together on. I'm one of these people that I think that it's a good thing when people find common causes that they can kind of get together on. I mean, I'm a big municipal broadband guy, and that's a cause that you will see people on the left supporting. You will see people on the right supporting. You will see people in between supporting, because everyone who's experienced it knows how freaking good it is. And we all want our internet to be something we can depend on. So, yes. I'm all about finding causes to get together on and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I saw that same clip and I was just like, wow. and I mean, there's a guy too, where it's like, I mean, when he first launched his website to run for mayor, and I don't remember all the details about it because it was a while ago, but I remember looking at his actual recovery plan for New York, and I thought, well, this makes sense as a recovery plan. I think this would work in a city like New York, like the way he was going to, like distribute the resources and stuff. And I was like, well, this is interesting. And I tweeted about it, and I'm like, this guy has some interesting plans as a mayor here. And then, the rest of his campaign was, I love cops. They're so sexy. I love cops. And I was like, God damn it. So I had to eat that tweet. But Andrew Yang, I'm not a fan. But
yeah, he's oh man, he's cracking me up. I don't know where Andrew's going. But Ron, before you go, well, first of all, thanks so much for coming on to hang out. And before you go, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'll mention a couple things if you don't mind. I have a fun show coming up in Los Angeles in the San Pedro neighborhood where I live for 10 years now. You might like this, Sabby, because we're both recovering academics. I've wanted to write a historical interpretation of the satirist Lucian, who was a satirist that existed. He basically was the era in between the ancient Greeks and the Renaissance, which is a very long era. But he was rediscovered in the Renaissance, and he inspired a lot of the satirical writers of that day because, like, they rediscovered his work and they really liked it and blah, blah, blah. I would make the argument in many ways he was kind of like the first comedian known to human history, kind of. I mean, people were doing like satire and parody for like a really long time before he came around, but he was the first person who literally traveled doing like humorous speeches, and then he wrote like pamphlets and books and stuff later. So he was basically doing stand-up before there was such a thing. So I think, I don't know, it is as nerdy as it sounds. But I wrote a historical interpretation about the guy, and I'm going to premiere it September 10th in my neighborhood, a place called The Corner Store at 2 p.m. It's an afternoon show because I'm going to try to pitch it to Renaissance festivals. So I'm doing a free show. It's outdoors. It'll be costumed and everything because, again, we're going for like a Renaissance fair type theme. So it's a free show. You can check it out. It's going to be a fun time. There's music. There's historic interpretation. And it's a fun show. Like, it's an accessible show. Like, you don't need to know anything about this guy to enjoy the show. But that's happening September 10th at the Corner Store in the San Pedro neighborhood in Los Angeles. You can come to my show at 2, be at the beach by 3. It'll be a fuck of an afternoon. So come hang out. It's free. And then hopefully I'll be bringing that to some Renaissance fairs across the country in 2023. And I'll be announcing some 2023 stand-up dates soon. I'll be going to the UK. I'll probably be going to Iceland because I had to postpone my Iceland dates this year. And I'll probably be doing some domestic stuff as well. You can follow all that stuff at Romplacone. I'm on Twitter at Romplacone. Romplacone on all the socials, but I'm most active on Twitter, YouTube, Romplacone. And thanks for having me. It is always a pleasure to talk to you. Always enjoy chatting with you. Sabby freeze. Just like, it's a historical interpretation, and you were just like, fuck this, I'm out. Shut up, Rod. And
No, I had like Wi-Fi issues, but I thought I was on mobile hotspot, but it turns out I wasn't, but I'm back now. Sorry, but I did hear what you said.
So I'm sorry. CPC was like, you talked her to death. Look, I'm sorry. I've been thinking about doing this project for 10 years, and I've put it off for 10 years, and I finally got around to writing it. So I kind of geeked out about it. So I'm sorry if that plug was like way too long. I apologize. I will work on it in the future. But I am really excited about it. If you guys are in the Los Angeles area, I hope you'll come check it out and give it a shot. And yeah, thank you very much.
All right, awesome. But where can people find you?
Find me at Romplacone on Twitter, at Romplacone on Instagram, YouTube Romplacone. I pointed the wrong thread. YouTube Romplacone. I'm just Romplacone on all the platforms, and romplacone.com for tour dates and all that fun stuff. And by the way, someone did mention this in the chat. This is why we need municipal broadband. This is why. Although I think that they have it near you. I think Cambridge is either working on it or they have it. I think.
Yeah. I mean, I have an actual different issue. There's branches on top of the line. So we actually have someone coming out this week to give us a quote to take a whole tree down. I'll tell you about that later though, Ron.
Thank you so much for having me, and always a pleasure.
Thanks. Bye, Ron.
All right. See you later. Cheers.